This is video 4 of my Steam summer sale focused on strategy and tactics. From XCOM 2 to Civilization 4, Darkest Dungeon, and even Warhammer 40K Chaos Gate. Every pick is going to get my honest take, what I loved and what held it back. 45 years of gaming, and let's get into it. Let's talk Midnight Suns. The card-based tactical combat is generally brilliant, tossing out traditional cover mechanics entirely in favor of aggressive environmental positioning. Slamming Captain America into Hydra soldiers and ricocheting them in explosive barrels feels pretty satisfying, and the Legendary Edition bundles vital DLC characters like Deadpool and Venom into the campaign. The Abbey home base divides the community completely. Half the game involves running around gathering crafting materials, engaging in lengthy friendship simulator dialogue to unlock hero perks. If you want pure tactical combat, the game rocks, but be warned, the endless talking segments will test your patience significantly. Age of Mythology Retold is masterclass in how to modernize a classic. The upgraded engine makes legendary monsters look pretty spectacular, and the new ability to reuse god powers completely transforms match flow. The single-player mythological campaign offers an immense amount of value on discounts. Purists are going to feel the updated voice acting loses the campy, unforgettable charm of the 2002 original, and certain high-tier myth units can devastate a carefully built base in seconds, leaving defensive players deeply frustrated. For fans of the original, this is the definitive version. Company of Heroes 2 strips away boring base building and focuses purely on high-intensity squad tactics and cover mechanics, and the physical activity of the world is unmatched. Tanks punch realistically through weak rear armor, and artillery physically obliterates buildings rather than just calculating damage numbers. The single-player campaign is heavily criticized for awkward melodrama, and the online multiplayer is mercilessly punishing for newcomers who will have every mistake exploited immediately. The tactical depth and world activity, though, remain best in class for a World War II strategy game, and pick it up. Age of Empires 4 Anniversary Edition is the best state this game's ever been in. Gorgeous 4K visuals, highly distinct civilizations, the brilliant documentary-style campaigns that make learning history feel genuinely fascinating. At sale price, you're going to get an incredibly polished, competitive, and casual real-time strategy package. The pacing does feel deliberately slower than modern strategy titles, which some players find frustrating, and the competitive matchmaking can deliver long queue times and repetitive map rotations. As a complete and stable RTS experience, though, it earns its place on this list. Pick it up. Two of the most cinematic and emotionally gripping space strategy games ever created, and the remastered graphics makes massive fleet battles look like a high-end sci-fi film. The haunting, beautiful soundtrack creates a sense of isolation and grand scale that nothing else in the strategy genre matches. Keep in mind, though, the true 3D movement grid does have a steep learning curve that is genuinely disorienting for newcomers, and the combined engine's slightly altered original gameplay mechanics, creating AI pathfinding issues that will frustrate veterans who remember specific classic formation tactics. A genuinely unique and moving experience, though. All 12 tabletop factions and 3 massive narrative campaigns for the price of admission on discount, and the spectacle of massive cathedral ships slamming into each other and executing perfect tactical ramming maneuvers is pretty unique in strategy gaming. For Warhammer 40K fans, this is an absolute steal. The grand campaign that will become repetitive planetary whack-a-mole against endless enemy fleets, and the real-time micromanagement is frantic in ways that feel overwhelming rather than tactical. The visual spectacle and faction variety, though, is going to make it worth the experience. Solasta, Crown of the Magister, is one of the most mechanically faithful D&D 5e adaptation rules in existence. Precise line of sight, lighting conditions, vertical battlefields where you fly, climb walls, or shove enemies into chasms. The community Dungeon Maker also adds near infinite replayability. The story is pretty bare-bones filler, and the voice acting faces genuine mockery for its indie budget delivery, but fantasy XCOM fans who want their D&D rules implemented perfectly are going to find this completely irresistible. Pick it up. The core gimmick is absolute genius. The game gives you 5-second glimpse into the future, allowing you to perfectly plot your mech's movements and shots to counter the enemy before the turn even begins. When a turn does play out exactly as you plan, the cinematic high-speed destruction feels pretty satisfying. Beyond the brilliant combat, the overworld campaign map and base management is going to feel noticeably bare bones, and the lack of deep pilot personalities or diverse mission objectives is going to leave the overall package feeling unfinished. The combat loop alone, though, will earn its price on sale. Pick it up. Showgunners is a tightly paced alternative to XCOM that completely ditches frustrating random miss percentages for highly predictable, satisfying gunplay. The reality show theme is executed perfectly with with environmental traps, cheering crowds, and over-the-top abilities makes every arena feel genuinely distinctive. The real-time exploration segments between combat areas will feel clunky, and the game is strictly linear, short experience with limited replayability once you finish the campaign, which is exactly why catching it on sale is the smart move. Tactically inventive and consistently entertaining. Pick it up. Wartales is an addictive 100-plus hour slow burner that offers absolute freedom, no chosen heroes or world-saving prophecies, just feeding your crew, crafting better gear, and paying wages, assigning a mercenary to be your camp cook, capturing bandits for bounty money, and layering micromanagement creates a beautifully immersive sandbox loop. The progression eventually feels like a massive repetitive grind as you move between regions, and persistent memory leaks on both PC and console will cause crashes every few hours, making frequent manual saves mandatory. At a discount, though, pretty outstanding. Warhammer 40K Daemonhunters, the single greatest design decision in this game, is completely removing random hit percentages. If your Grey Knights has line of sight, they hit 100% of the time. No more missing point-blank shots. The precision targeting system lets you manually chop specific limbs off plague demons to disable their abilities is a mechanical master stroke, and the visceral impact of armored space marines stomping through environments feels pretty spectacular. The campaign lacks mission variety, though, in the mid to late game, and the wound mechanic sidelining injured squad members for extended recovery constantly forces under-leveled replacements into brutal difficulty spikes. My favorite game, Battletech. The digital Deluxe edition includes a base game, an extensive art book, and a composed soundtrack. Balancing bank accounts, repairing shattered mech limbs, and customizing terrifying lance loadouts creates a pretty satisfying blend of intense grid combat and deep mercenary management. Dropping a 100-ton Atlas onto a battlefield and watching its autocannon shred an enemy line is pretty rewarding. Enemy turns, though, can be pretty slow, stretching battles into massive endurance matches. The learning curve is going to be pretty steep, and a single bad drop can permanently destroy a prize mech and bankrupt your entire company. Darkest Dungeon flips the hero fantasy on its head by forcing you to manage your squad's fragile sanity alongside their health bars. The striking hand-drawn aesthetic is gorgeous, and the narrator's booming voice lines deliver bleak satisfaction with every strike. Building up a ruined hamlet while training a revolving door of flawed mercenaries creates an endlessly addictive high-stakes loop. The game thrives on heartbreak and RNG, and a highly trained max-level character can die of a permanent heart attack from a single lucky critical hit. Late-game grind of replacing fallen heroes, though, will test even the most dedicated players. Wasteland 3 delivers a deep narrative where your choices genuinely shift the fate of the world. The writing is hilarious and packed with memorable factions like cultists who literally worship an AI version of Ronald Reagan. The tactical combat is snappy and explosive, barring the best elements of modern XCOM cover design. Clunky user interfaces, tedious inventory management, and persistent bugs during co-op play will require frequent manual saves throughout. The ending slides can also feel abrupt, failing to recognize the full weight of choices you made across the 40-hour campaign. The writing, though, will make it still essential, and check it out. Phoenix Point's free aim targeting system, manually aiming your soldiers' guns in first person to shoot specific body parts or off mutating alien monsters, is the finest targeting innovation in tactical gaming. Blowing off a crabman's shield arm to expose weak points gives you a genuine tactical advantage. The global diplomacy and faction management layer will add meaningful strategic depth. The balancing breaks completely, though, in the mid to late game as alien factions adapt to your tactics and suddenly deploy bullet sponge squads that will wipe your best soldiers out in a single turn. For strategy purists, the targeting system alone justifies the purchase. Gear Tactics is one of the best-looking and fastest-paced tactical games available. The action point system encouraging constant forward momentum and chainsaw execution moves, granting bonus actions to the rest of your squad, creating spectacular high-octane kill chains. The visual presentation is genuinely exceptional throughout. The campaign will suffer from glaring mission variety problems with repeated filler side missions, generic bomb disposals and supply runs, blocking progress to story beats. The randomized weapon loot systems means excessive time sorting identical scopes and clunky menus between missions. The execution loop in the game, though, is pretty brilliant, and check it out. Darksiders Genesis allows two characters, instantly swapping between War's devastating melee combos and Strife's twin-stick shooter gameplay creates satisfying variety throughout the entire game. The classic Darksiders mix of combat, environmental puzzles, and epic boss fights translates beautifully to the isometric perspective. The static isometric camera, though, will become a genuine nightmare during platforming sequences where depth perception makes landing jumps genuinely frustrating and the map interface completely fails to indicate your position within the winding levels, will turn exploration into a guessing game. As a co-op experience on sale, though, absolutely worth it. Pick it up. Instead of dropping straight into a combat arena, Mutant Year Zero lets you explore a ruined world in real time using stealth to quietly pick off isolated guards and set up the perfect ambush before combat begins. Initiating on your own terms makes you feel like a tactical genius, and the quirky story featuring a sarcastic duck and a shotgun-wielding boar is genuinely charming throughout the game. The real-time stealth, though, is not optional. It is a strict requirement. Failing to quietly eliminate isolated enemies before engagement is pretty much a guarantee of an instant wipe on almost any difficulty, making the loop feel rigid and pretty linear. Expeditions Rome is an absolute steal for history enthusiasts. The narrative carries massive weight, with your choices generally reshaping the campaign, and the dynamic balance between intimate squad tactical battles and grand overworld legion management conquering entire territories is brilliantly executed. The tactical combat itself is excellent, with dynamic weapon skills and shield wall formations. The Grand Legion battles, playing out as card-based minigame, will feel disconnected from the excellent grid combat and excessive dialogue segments, with heavy travel times between locations will drain pacing significantly. A deeply rewarding experience, though, for the patient player. Jagged Alliance 3 is one of the deepest sandbox tactical simulators available. Hiring a custom squad of quirky, fully voiced mercenaries with distinct personalities and rivalries to liberate a country creates an experience of genuine systemic depth. The open-ended action point system and body part targeting reward true tactical flexibility. The initial difficulty curve is going to be a merciless brick wall, as the hidden hit calculation system will make mercenaries feel incompetent, especially early on, as they just routinely miss very simple shots. Managing ammunition, repairing weapons, and paying escalating contracts will turn the overworld into a genuinely stressful financial nightmare as you progress. XCOM Chimera Squad shakes up the XCOM formula with a breach phase, letting you blast through doors and windows to ambush enemies in slow motion. And the interweave timeline where both sides alternate action is going to create combat that makes it feel like high-dynamic chess. Playing as a preset roster of human and alien agents with interlocking abilities is pretty fun. The permanent death mechanic is completely absent. An agent dying triggers a mission failed screen, gutting the high-stakes tension that defined the main series of XCOM. The scale is going to be a little bit smaller and entirely linear, but as a focused tactical fix on sale, it absolutely delivers what it's trying to do. Against the Storm was one of the most addictive strategy games available. Building a network of small specialized settlements instead of one massive city will strip away the boring late-game stagnation of traditional city builders, balancing the unique fickle needs of humans, lizards, and harpies while racing against a ticking impatience meter creates a fast-paced puzzle that's pretty compelling. The roguelite RNG means runs can fail simply because the game refuses to give you the specific building to process available resources, and the constant ticking clock feels more like a stressful management job than a relaxing experience. The one more run addiction, though, is real in this game. Shadowrun Returns delivers world building for a discounted price, navigating a futuristic Seattle filled with mega corporations, hacking grids, cybernetically enhanced street samurais, and spellcasting elves feels pretty cool and immersive. The turn-based grid combat is highly competent, utilizing solid action points and cover mechanics that reward class synergy. The campaign, though, is notoriously linear, acting more like a heavily scripted visual novel with combat segments than an open sandbox RPG, and your choices will rarely alter the main narrative path. The hands-off checkpoint system rather than free saving means a single late mission mistake will force you to repeat significant dialogue and combat. I am picking Civilization 4 over the later entries, and I'll tell you exactly why. The AI is cutthroat and vastly superior to later games, making every victory feel deeply earned. The Complete Edition bundles all of its incredible expansions, including Beyond the Sword, for a genuinely remarkable price. The One More Turn edition is perfected here, backed by one of the finest soundtracks in strategy gaming. Pick it up. XCOM 2 delivers one of the most intense and rewarding tactical loops ever created. Customizing your squad makes every mission intensely personal and every soldier death a genuine loss. The War of the Chosen expansion completely reinvents the campaign with terrifying boss enemies and unmatched replayability, and it is essential if you pick this up. Unfortunately, the infamous RNG heartbreak and missing a point-blank 99% shot that ruins a 40-hour campaign is still here and a genuine design flaw, and the strict mission turn timers can feel suffocating for methodical players. Either way, the tension is still unmatched. Pick it up. We are at the end of the video, and that is 25 strategy and tactic games from the RNG heartbreak of Civ 4 and XCOM 2 to the guaranteed hits of Warhammer 40K Chaos Gate. Every single one is on sale right now during the Steam Summer Sale. Do me a favor, drop a comment with your favorite strategy game from today's list. And remember, I'm trying to do as many genre videos as I can release across the Steam Summer Sale 2026. So do me a favor, hit subscribe, and so you don't miss a single one. And remember, click F5, reset, reload. I am F5 Dad, and I'll see you on the next video.